There's like hundreds of email threads, potentially thousands of PDF attachments. Anything can go wrong at any given point. There can be a storm that means that you can't operate one of the stages. How generators can fail. Everything that could go wrong can go wrong, and you never know what it's going to be. To be able to kind of bring in technology that at least mitigates some of that is a really big deal.
Hey everyone, welcome back to AI Insights. I'm Fleur Prince, your host for today, and I'm here together with Ritesh, who is the co-founder of Ticket Ferry. So Ritesh, can you tell us a bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I guess I want to just give a quick background on like how we got into this. So Ticket Ferry kind of came from maybe 10 years of actually producing events and then working in tech in parallel. So it's kind of founders solve their own problems type company. Usually is like it's a lot of fun to work on because I guess like taking your passion and then building it into a product, which is really nice. So we originally launched late 2011, and bootstrapped until 2015. And then our first investor was actually the founder of Twitch, Justin Kan. So
That's really awesome.
he was our first investor. And then two of the other founders of Twitch came in, and also Steve Huffman, who's CEO of Reddit. And we had this like really nice first initial set of investors, but it took like 4 years to even get anyone to say yes. So it's like kind of nothing, 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 and then everything all at once.
Suddenly the big boom happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so like in terms of what we do, we kind of built the platform not as ticketing per se, even though it does look like that from the outside. It was kind of a what can be done for event producers that would make a massive impact on their revenue or their operations or just internal workflows, needing less people, which is a nice theme for what we're going to talk about, but needing less people and just thinking about like, what are the best practices for event marketing, growth, and can we gradually build all of those into the platform?
So it's like pretty much a combination of all your experience from the past 10 years put into one platform.
And then learning from all the clients as well. Yeah, but initially, yeah, it was definitely from personal experience, and over time, it's kind of like, well, wait a second. There's all these things we've spotted in the industry that are, I guess, like bottlenecks, and they're either bottlenecks to growth or they are bottlenecks to processes, and we just kind of tried to tackle them one by one, and now we've probably got like 300 or 400 features in the platform.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So, tell us a bit more about you. So, who are you behind Ticket Ferry?
So there's two of us founding the company, myself and my brother Jigger. On a personal level, I started building tech when I was 13, 1993. Saw the internet like first come about on the consumer side anyway, and then kind of got obsessed with the events industry in kind of like 98, 99, and started producing my own underground electronic music events and kind of got obsessed with that.
Okay, that's pretty cool, actually.
It was fun. It was fun.
We're talking like full games or like electronic music.
Yeah, like underground drum and bass raves. Yeah, essentially.
Oh, I would have loved to go to those.
It was fun. It was fun, but there was still the nerd aspect. Like even in like January 2000, I live streamed the first event over 56K dial up.
Oh, wait, really? Oh,
Yeah,
that feels
yeah,
so long ago.
yeah. So
Like that?
like 25 years ago, I think we literally live streamed over a dial up that I don't think anyone was doing that at that point.
No, because not. Yeah, I wanted to say now you pretty much just what you just do is you upload to YouTube or you put on the live stream and you're done. But to do it back in the day was quite the effort.
It was kind of DIY. Like basically, I had to borrow someone's physical server in a data center because there was no cloud.
Mhm.
Get them to manually install some streaming software that could accept the stream. Like you didn't have laptops then, so I had to put a heavy PC and a monitor into the back of my car and take it to the venue, and then run two audio cables from the stage to the back room, and they weren't long enough to had to have a connector in the middle and tape them to the floor so no one accidentally disconnected the cable, and then like connected to my dial up from the back office of the venue. So it was like super manual and stitched together.
Still, this is a really epic story. Just think about the whole like getting everything ready, put everything down, getting everything attached.
Yeah, and then just think hoping it would work, and then also like there was no social media, so you had to like promote in discussion forums and chat rooms and just see if people would actually listen, and they did, which was amazing. But yeah, you had to like do everything yourself back then.
Cool. Wait, where was it streaming to? Like where was it going? Or is just people bought tickets and they
So
were watch it
it
live?
was it was basically a I put the streaming link on the so we built a website for the event and then put the streaming link that connected directly into the streaming software and it connected to the server. And you actually had to download a dedicated client to even listen to the stream. So you couldn't listen to it in your web browser or anything like that. Like you had to download software called Real Player and then connect that to the server. So again, very manual.
Yeah, oh my god, this is not where I thought the story would go. Just in general, when we're talking about Ticket Fairy. But that's really cool. So, and then you like kept doing events for the past years, and then you set up Ticket Fairy?
Yeah, so like I think the company was really conceptualized because of the challenges of running those events. And what you realize is that you're basically when you're running an events company, you're basically a founder in the same way you're a founder with a tech company, right? So it's like one founder, two founders, no team and or minimal team, no budget for salaries, and you have to kind of, it's a struggle. And so once you realize that like the paths are the same, it's like, well, why wouldn't you build a stack for the events industry that actually tries to solve those problems? Because it's very resource constrained and it's really difficult to get to a point of profitability. And so that's been the mission since we started it is like everywhere we can see, you can unlock margin, automate processes, give the team leverage to do more than they can do themselves. That's really been the mission. And on topic of what this podcast is about, it's like, well, now AI has the potential to give even more leverage.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, as I can imagine, especially in the event industry, AI can be helping that out, especially when it comes to like planning events, writing out scripts. How can you organize? Like, if you're not familiar how to organize an event, it can just give you like a guide or a playbook. As those
Yeah,
things
well,
that.
there's definitely that, but I think more for the experienced people who know what they're doing
Mhm.
and have been doing it at potentially at scale, but like I guess like really struggling with keeping up with the workload because when you're actually doing this professionally on the event production side, it's like a thousand moving parts. So there's a couple of thousand documents that all need to be read and made sure that that turns into like physical operations during the time the event's running. So there's not like, oh, I forgot this document, we'll do it next week. It's like if you forgot what was in the document during the event, maybe an artist doesn't perform, maybe like there's a huge gap in health and safety, like like you've got
Mhm.
this like really small window to execute during the event, and so you can't miss things, and unfortunately things get missed because there's just too much to do. So what you'll find is there's like hundreds of email threads, potentially thousands of PDF attachments. Anything can go wrong at any given point. There can be a storm that means that you can't operate one of the stages. Power generators can fail. Everything that could go wrong can go wrong, and you never know what it's going to be. For to be able to kind of bring in technology that at least mitigates some of that is a really big deal.
Yeah. So it will pretty much take planning out of your hands as a professional then.
Or at least like you can be the creative side of it as as the event organizer and kind of go, all right, well, like this is the vision. Fine, we've booked these 100 or 200 artists, but actually like the actual grunt work of from the point their booking is confirmed to actually them arriving at the event, there's a whole load of things that actually have to happen. And if you're doing it with multiple artists, then, there's a lot of room for things to go wrong. And then there's like email communication threads with the booking agent. Sometimes they have management that needs to like, they want to see everything before it gets approved. You might need to book 100 flights. And then there's like, maybe 500 pieces of equipment that need to get hired. And, this stuff is really, really labor intensive.
Yeah, I was by the way watching. I was reading an article earlier about Ticket Fairy that you guys are actually taking the fight against Ticketmaster. Is that true?
I don't know if that's even feasible. I mean, I think that was one of those things where like, and I actually bumped into the journalist that wrote that article the other day. And That's not what the article was about. The article was basically about just what we do on the tech side. And he decided to make a controversial headline that we were the best hope against Ticketmaster. And it was like, it was quite controversial at the time because I was like, it got public. He published the article without telling me what he was going to title it. So we spent like 6 months. We spent 6 months talking about we do as a company and what the tech does. And then on the day it got published, the title was "Ticket Ferry is Tech's Best Hope Against Ticketmaster," and I was like, "All right, this is gonna get some attention," and it got a lot of attention because of that headline. I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
practically it's not really possible to compete with Ticketmaster. It really isn't.
no, but it would be a good hope. I mean, they do have the monopoly right now on the field, but it was pretty catchy headline indeed. When I was reading about the company, I was like, "This is interesting."
Yeah, 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 yeah. And look, it was it got us a lot of attention in a good way because once people kind of got past the clickbait headline, they were actually like able to read what we do. And what we do is, I think, is it got people kind of like investigating what we do, which is great.
Yeah, and I mean, the way you describe also how you guys are helping out people who are event planners, I think it's really helpful. Like, I know myself as a community manager, how much time it takes to get everything ready, but to have a software that like does helps you with everything, that helps so much. By the way, because so you guys also helped with TwitchCon at the time. We talked about it earlier, a bit off screen. Can you tell my listeners a bit more about it?
So TwitchCons is a pretty heavy, I guess, a logistical process, right? Like it's got tens of
Uh-huh.
thousands of people. It's not an ordinary event. There's a lot of moving parts with that where like there are vendors and there are exhibitors with booths and custom data integrations because you have to connect your Twitch account before you can buy tickets. And then there's like, there's a lot of different rules that you need to make sure are implemented in the software. Um, it's I mean, it's a great event because you're basically connecting fans to streamers, but then behind the scenes, like it's a really complex event. So, we do what we can where we can provide those tools, not just on the ticketing side, but also on the management side.
Is this also like where AI then comes into play as well? To
Yeah, so that's something that we've been experimenting with for a while. So we did the Y Combinator program in 2015. At the time, it was actually Sam Altman from OpenAI that was running it. So I was lucky enough to have a one-on-one with him before presenting at Demo Day, kind of because he then went to found OpenAI. The existing Y Combinator companies were given early access to ChatGPT in 2020. So we've been playing around with, yeah. So we've been playing around with the technology for like over 5 years now. I've actually got a LinkedIn post in 2020 with an article on event marketing actually generated by ChatGPT when very few people had access to it.
that's really epic. I cannot even imagine back like going back now, like ChatGPT 2.0 or 1.0, just in general.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I think it was already at version 2.5 or 3 at that point, but like it was really early. It was
Yeah,
really early. It was the first version that I think they'd actually released to the public. And so we got early access and kind of that means that over like several years, like we had a Ticket Ferry in general, we had a kind of like, I guess, like an aspiration for when the models were good enough, what would we use it for in the platform? And they've only recently become good enough because they just weren't good enough before. Like before, they could generate like simple content, but they wouldn't actually be reliable enough to pass data correctly or pass documents correctly, action things reliably. Like agents have only become a recent thing. So we had this kind of, I guess, roadmap for the AI side of the platform for years and years. Internally, we called it the conversational dashboard, which was basically like, anything you can do that would allow an event organizer to leverage an AI assistant to do all the things they need to on the event management side. We kind of had that specced out for a while. So it's been really nice. Like kind of this year, we've been building a bunch of those tools. Some of them are just like a 24/7 account manager, but some of them are very, very heavily linked to event production and planning and operations and contracts. And so it's going to be really nice rolling those out.
that's Yeah, it feels so weird, like, hearing that, like, back 2020, just ChatGPT just in general. But it's really interesting to hear that you guys, were able to implement it into that you're already playing around with it, especially, considering how huge your product is.
Yeah, we actually already have prototypes of the agents. They'll be ready for public consumption pretty soon.
Oh, that's good to hear. So for everyone who's listening and interested in using Ticket Fairy, they will have agents soon.
Yep,
They're usually
yep,
very
exactly.
handy. Yeah, agents in general are just helping my life, like, with, like, the podcast editing, everything, making sure that everything's sent out to the right social media channels. It helps so much.
Yeah, and we've kind of adopted AI internally in our processes as well. Like, there's a lot that we do where, like, it's like because personally I was a really early adopter, then that filters down to the team as well. So it's like, what can we do with, say, N8N, or what can we do with Cursor as a code editor? Every single code push that we have gets reviewed by 3 or 4 different AI bots. One looks at security, one looks at, well, and then 2 or 3 look at other code potential bugs or whatever. And then, like, having that, I guess, code agent oversight on any final bugs before they make it to production is actually really important.
Yeah, no, true. But also that's actually very interesting, the concept that you talk about where you actually adopt AI early, because I know a lot of companies tell their employees actually not to use AI. Think for yourself, think critical thinking. Why did you choose to go the other way around?
LLMs are really good at understanding code, and they're really good at producing code because they're predictive, right? So, like, in a way, coding is probably one of the best ways to use AI for, like, in terms of like what's reliable right now. And I think that from the from the perspective of what AI is meant to do, it's meant to provide, I don't think it's meant to replace humans entirely, right? It's supposed to give humans leverage for what they do already. And, like, an expert can get things done 10 times faster because the grunt work is being done by the AI. But ultimately, the expert is still driving the direction, the original specs, viewing the output and going, that's not right, adjust it. And instead of waiting a day for someone to do that, it can be done instantly. And so, we're at least, if not 10x, at least 3xing our output in terms of engineering. But over time, I can see that becoming 5 or 10x output increase. Like, and there's even just like manual code review. Like, code review gets done, like someone opens a pull request, it gets given to 2 or 3 other humans in the dev team to look at. But in between those processes, the bots have already gone in and gone, here's all the things you didn't see yet. And then at the end of the day, like, the human reviewers just get to do the final review rather than all the, like, kind of nitpicking.
Yeah,
And
so you're really advocating for the fact that it's better to work with AI than trying to go against it.
yeah, definitely. And I was on a panel during Miami Music Week in March this year about AI in music production. A lot of people are like, oh, AI is evil, and it's like, you can't have people making music using AI, because then anyone's just going to be able to take the hard work of the 20 years of someone learning how to make music, and they can make it with a prompt. And you're seeing that with Suno now. There's a lot of controversy behind Suno, because, like, it's creating tracks. You type in 5 or 10 words and it's making a track that's, like, not fully produced but pretty well produced
Good
and
enough.
good enough, right? And on this panel, it's kind of like, well, you've got two there's two ends of how you look at this. Either it's evil and it kind of removes the hard work, or, like, I guess, the credit of the hard work for people that spend years learning their craft. And on the other side, which is kind of where I sit, it's like, well, if it was your music production co-pilot and you're generating a sound to use in your track, or a short vocal to use in your track, or something that is actually like component building. And that's how people use AI for coding. It doesn't always write the entire application. It's like, here's a specific piece of functionality that I want you to work on. And then it becomes your leverage rather than replacing you.
Interesting. I was thinking also when I looked at Ticket Fairy, also just in general, I saw you guys also provide 24/7 support. Is that like, are we talking like real humans, or are we also talking AI integration here as well?
Up until now, it's actually been real humans. So we've actually
Okay.
got people around. Yeah, we've got people around the world that are monitoring requests coming in from both ticket buyers and event organizers. The reason we say this is important is like the 24/7 side of it is like an event it happens on the weekend, right? Like let's say the event starts at 10 o'clock at night and at 1 a.m. the tickets aren't scanning and they can't figure out why. That can't wait until 9 a.m. Monday morning because the event's already over. So we try to be on have always tried to be on call as much as possible because it might just be, oh, actually, the event organizer set the scanning times incorrectly, and so they set it to stop at 1 a.m. even though it's still the event's still going on. And going forward, what would be really helpful is if the moment they got in touch saying this isn't working, there was an agent that diagnosed why and came up with a potential set of reasons for why it's not working and could determine that it's like a configuration issue and tells the client, it's because of this. Do you want me to adjust it? And so, like, we're definitely going more in that direction. And
Okay.
then when something cannot be done by an agent, then it's kind of the human in the loop aspect where, like, we would still have people that would be able to take over.
Yeah, so then we're talking about an agent pinging one of the humans being like, "Hey, I can't fix it. Your turn."
Yeah. And then it also is like, stuff like that is really important for companies as they scale because it's like if you add 10 times as many clients, you don't it's kind of a thing where you shouldn't need 10 times as many staff to deal with that. And some of that comes down to monitoring what support requests come in and then building that into the product in terms of like self-service or a UX fix or something like that. Often it's just that where like you realize there's patterns and then you fix those things or you build them into the product. But where you can't do that and every single event is different and you're not going to be able to build it into your product, then using agents for leverage is a really big deal.
In which countries are you guys actually active? So
Quite a
where
lot. Quite a
okay.
lot. UK, US, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, India. We're about to launch quite heavily into Europe, Indonesia, um, like quite a lot of regions. And it's kind of one of those ones where they're not all at big scale. Some of them are quite small scale, but it was quite a lot of I guess like work to build the platform in a way where it's international. It works with different payment gateways. It works with different currencies. Like that underlying architecture is really hard to get right later on if you decide to expand internationally. So we just kind of built the architecture originally so that it was able to go global and international without having to do that like full rebuild like 10 years in.
Oh, so you guys are already also focusing on the 10-year, like, in the future. Okay, where are we gonna be?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, we had the international architecture in 2014.
Ticketing.
So we always considered ourselves not to be ticketing, but like the platform you run your events business on. The vision was kind of like Salesforce is for corporates, right? Like everyone who's working on an event or for in a venue comes into work in the morning and they each log into the relevant module of Ticket Ferry that they need to do their work and then can collaborate with their team and other modules all within the same ecosystem. And so like we've built a lot of that over the last few years. The next 10 years we're seeing that become like, where we're much more I guess, like ingrained into the fabric of those businesses so that we can be as helpful as possible and make sure that they are super efficient. They're able to grow. The teams are not doing manual work they don't have to do. And really, they can concentrate on the kind of the creative aspect of the event because really, event production is not supposed to be grunt work and manual work and hard labor. It's meant
Yeah.
to be, creativity, community building, what makes you individual, if we can take care of that for people, then they can actually focus on the things that make them unique, and that's where we're kind of really really focused on.
Yeah. No, I can definitely say that as a community manager. Like, I would rather be busy with the content, talking to the speakers, than trying to figure out why my ticket is not working.
Yeah, exactly, and so that's our job now. Our job is to make that infrastructure available so that the event organizers can actually do what they do best.
What would be your final thing or, like, recommendation to people who are getting into AI? Because you talked about your journey, like, you started out with doing underground, I wanna say rave
Yeah,
parties,
I mean they were raves. They were definitely raves.
and then, like, experience combination, you turn it into a tech company, and now you're a tech founder. But what would your recommendation be to people who are, like, trying to get into AI/the tech space? What should they do, especially if they don't have a tech background?
You don't need coding experience. to build your app or your website. But what we're finding, I say we, I think what the industry is finding is that if you don't have the underlying technology, you won't see that, oh wait, there's a massive security flaw. Oh wait, the database has been left open to reading from the public, and then suddenly you've got a data breach. So I would say that, like, if you're going to be using AI for any sort of professional work, you should still also be a professional yourself. Like, don't skip learning how to code manually just because you think you can use an AI agent to code everything for you. Like, then you won't realize that what the agent has done is not correct, or it's not flexible, or there's a hole in this logic. You still need to be the master of the work and have the AI help you, rather than thinking the AI is going to do all your work.
I definitely agree. Like having the at least the basics of coding helps a lot. But thank you so much for sharing. It was really awesome interviewing you.
Thank you. Hard, more than people think. This is literally what people don't understand. It's like everything is going wrong behind the scenes to make it perfect on the outside. 10 minutes before the artist went on, like, no one knows any of this stuff. It just looks great on the outside.
So thank you so much for being on the show as well, talking about indeed how AI can be implemented into event planning, because I think we've not talked about that at all on the show. So that's really
I
cool.
really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, definitely subscribe, like, and if you think you would be a cool speaker, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or via the Spotify comments. To everyone else, have a good night and see you next time.